and welcome to the latest in our series of Our Lockdown Stories, which is a series of short videos in which I'm interviewing a few KLS members about their time during lockdown and their life as a KLS member. And I'm really pleased today to be joined by James. Hi James, thank you for joining me.
Pleasure.
And let's get straight into it. And if you could start by telling us a little bit about yourself, about your background as a KLS member.
So I had spent part of my life as a Christian, and for various reasons throughout my life I sort of moved away from that, and I was sort of agnostic for a number of years. And then I had a gradual attraction to the Jewish faith. I'd looked very carefully at lots of faiths that were out there. I think I've looked at the majority of them. A few of my friends are Jewish, and I think the gradual exposure to Judaism, it was a very strange experience for me because it just made sense. It just applied to me personally. It didn't conflict with me. And the more I explored it, the more it just felt right. It felt like it was already part of me. It felt like that was the way I already saw the world and felt about God and things like that. So there was no friction for me to explore Judaism. So I, after my divorce, I was separated and divorced back in 2016. I had an opportunity then to really proactively start to look at becoming more involved with Judaism. At the time, it wasn't practical because my wife was brought up as a Jehovah's Witness, and she was, as a result of that, very anti religious institutions, things like that. She didn't have any time for it, and with my marriage and the state it was, which wasn't bad, but was moving apart. Me adding a religious element to that would have made things worse, and I didn't really want to do that. So I was sort of released and freed and able to look at what I wanted to. So I looked at synagogues, and I looked at a few of the local ones, and KLS really jumped out at me as a really warm, friendly, inviting place. And so I made my first contact back in, I think it was November of 2016. And it's been a continuing part of my life ever since.
And you have now converted, so you are now a formal member of the Jewish people, haven't you?
Absolutely, yes. So having attended almost every single service and function that KLS had to offer, and really absorbing and immersing myself in the Jewish culture. In 2018, September 2018, I then started my conversion course with Renee, and also had to learn how to read Hebrew, which is also a really exciting, fun experience because as a typical English person, we're not necessarily very confident about learning language. I think that's what we're told. It's not true. We're told that. It seems like a very steep learning curve, but actually it was incredibly fulfilling, and particularly being able to follow a service by reading the Hebrew and really feeling like you're making touch with ancient texts as you're doing it. So it was incredibly useful.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And can you tell us a little bit about what your situation has been like during the last few months, so during the lockdown period?
Yeah, so my lockdown started in February because I hurt my back, lucky me. So I already have a bad back anyway, but I was tidying my workshop, and I invited a family member to help me do all the lifting because obviously I knew that if I tried to do it as a risk, I'd hurt my back. However, despite my best efforts, somehow I hurt my back, and I was completely out of action from February up until probably a month ago. So it was, unable to move freely, drive, do anything at all. So lockdown, when you think it's bad and then lockdown hits you and you think, oh wow, really? Is this, what next? But I've kind of, I've sort of given into it now. I think that's what you have to do. There's a point where you sort of fight it, and you try and rebel against it, and eventually you think, well, actually, what can I do? So I'm very fortunate in that I have a lot of interests and lots of hobbies that I can do without leaving the house. and I've made the most of that time to really catch up on those things, and keep myself occupied. If I feel like I'm a bit, sort of mentally sort of fed up, then I'll just immerse myself into a project, which is great fun. So yeah, and I've found it really fulfilling. It's been a really, really good time for me.
Okay, yeah, that's good to know. And your back now is getting better.
Yes.
Wonderful. That's good to know.
I would say, yeah, lockdown's the worst time to have an injury, because obviously the hospitals aren't treating people. That's the problem. So you're not being, all the appointments are cancelled. Everything is focused on COVID-19, absolutely understandable, which means that you are treated with painkillers. You're not treated with surgical options, things like that. So I'm being maxed out on many painkillers as they can throw at me, because there is no surgical option unless I had life-threatening injury, which I don't, fortunately. So my body's been doing what it does. It's sort of healing itself slowly now, which is what I want, because I don't want surgery for various reasons. Good. So I'm sort of coming out of that now, which is nice, and lockdown's starting to ease. So it's all starting to come together.
Ready to join society again.
Yes, and I have been having trips out, and that's been really nice. So I have been doing as much as I can to keep myself immersed in the public. So it's been really good.
Fantastic. No, that's really good to hear. And what has your involvement with KLS been like? How have you been involved in KLS during the lockdown?
So apart from attending the online services, which have been absolutely fantastic, I've also been involved in sort of the background tech team as well, in the early stages of getting that working and moving, and making sure that what was very important to me was at the moment that we had it wasn't allowed to have people attend the synagogue, that we could stream the very next service online in whatever format or quality it was in. We would be streaming something, because we needed to ensure that continuity both for ourselves and for the wider community. And we've successfully done that now ever since that's happened, and the quality is improved exponentially, I think, really. So it's been absolutely incredible.
I agree completely. And as a fellow member of the tech team, we are very grateful for your expertise and input, I can tell you. But yeah, absolutely, we were streaming right from the start, and you're right, we are getting better all the time, hopefully, and hopefully that will continue as well.
Yes.
What has that involvement meant to you?
Well, I think it's a really good feeling. It's almost a mitzvah, isn't it, to be able to to do that for the community. And behind the scenes, I've worked in my roles within IT. I've been behind the scenes, and you don't necessarily have any expectation of any awards or thanks for it, but that people are appreciating what you do, and that's a really nice thing. It's quite a humble thing. It's giving, and I enjoy doing that. Not just through the tech team, but also on council. So
yes, of course.
So it's just providing that background service just to keep the thing rolling, really, because in these turbulent times, that's what we need. We need a rudder. And I think we provided a really good one.
Technology has just been literally a lifeline, just to mix some metaphors there.
Absolutely.
Because without that technology, we wouldn't have been able to have the services online and get together, in our regular chats and social events and stuff like that. Absolutely. So not only has it been so important, you and the others who have been providing it is just, it's invaluable, absolutely invaluable. Obviously your relationship with your Judaism is relatively new in your life. I know you converted a couple of years ago now, but over the lockdown, do you think that relationship with your Judaism has changed at all?
It's an interesting question. It's been tested.
Okay.
I think, that there have been moments when I've questioned, why am I in so much pain at this time? Why has everything fallen down around me? What have I done? These sorts of things. Am I being punished? Is there something I've done? It's these sorts of things all run through my mind. But now I've sort of reviewed everything, and actually I see it more as it's actually been more of a lesson than anything else. It's been a positive lesson, because it's taught me a few things, and one of them is it's taught me how to manage any situation almost. It's taught me to manage my own expectations of reality, but it's also helped me to appreciate even more what I have. Yeah. Because, you know, although I might be in pain or not be able to do things, there are moments when I can do things, and I really cherish those moments, because anytime, you know, you could have a bad back, or you could have a problem with something, and you take it for granted that everything works. And so, you know, although I'm not very old, but, you know, I still have I've had these problems. I think I really appreciate having mobility. But another side of it is actually really appreciating people that don't have mobility, and understanding just what they're going through, because, you know, people can say they've got a bad back or they've got some sort of illness, and they seem fine. So you don't really think they're in any really suffering, but often it can be a front that actually behind that they're going through a lot, but they're really making an extra effort to do what they do. So it's quite humbling, I think, as well. So I'm trying to see lots of positives. So my relationship with God is really quite simple, really. It's this is a lesson, and I'm learning from it, and I think that's all that can be expected of me. So.
Wow, James, that's, you know, that's a great place, and you've answered the final questions, which is what have you learned, and that's exactly you've spoken to that exactly right. And really glad that your back's on the mend. Really glad that you're finding the positives, and that you're, you know, appreciating all of those moments. I think that's, you know, to some extent we've all had to do that, but I know that you've had particular challenges because of the health issues at the same time. So glad it's getting better anyway.
Yeah.
Just in time for the High Holy Days, and obviously you're going to be an instrumental person in the tech support for those. Yes. And I look forward to working with you on it. Anyway, so thank you so much, James, for joining me today.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
And stay tuned, everyone who's watching. There will be more interviews where this one's coming from. See you all soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.